Fantastic. Hello, all. Welcome, everyone. Everyone's joining in. There we go. Lovely to see everyone zooming in, joining us. If you can have video on, that is amazing. We love being able to see you as well. We have an amazing team here today. Super excited about today's workshop all around pricing for book illustrators. You will notice you are on mute today, but we have the team here that'll be running the workshop and webinar today. So yeah, video on if you can. We love being able to see you. Hey, just as we get underway, I would love you to share in the chat what you do creatively and where you are in the world. What you do creatively and where you are in the world. Pop it in the chat. We love an interactive chat, just as everyone's joining us today. Fantastic, fantastic. Now, even though I do have a funny accent, I am based in Richmond, Virginia in the US, but I'm from New Zealand originally, those of you that don't know me. So some people are like, wait a minute, where's this accent from? So it is a New Zealand accent, those of you that guess that. Most people can't guess it. It tends to be, is that UK, Australia? But yes, I'm from New Zealand originally, but based in Richmond, Virginia. Fantastic. So yeah, pop in the chat where you are in the world, what you do creatively, just so we can start to see who's here today. Amazing. Oh, this is great. So it's looking illustrated for books and comics. Hey, Ed, welcome, welcome. Awesome. Hey, Molly, illustrator Dallas, illustrator, animator New York City, Philadelphia, drawing cartoons, animator South UK, Nick. Amazing. Welcome. Book and commercial illustration, Ohio. This is great. Have a look through and look at what other people are doing and see if there's other people doing similar things to you. We have a ton of illustrators here. This is fantastic. I can also see there's graphic designers here and muralists here as well. This is fantastic. Children's illustration, picture book illustration. Someone in Spain, amazing. Hey, Sally, animator in San Francisco. Hey, Alina, awesome. Julie, illustrator in UK. There we go, Nashville. This is fantastic. So welcome. If you've just joined us, make sure you do pop in the chat where you are in the world and what you do creatively. Now, this is a workshop all around pricing for book illustrators. It's actually going to be relevant for a lot of illustrators and a lot of graphic designers as well, but we're going to really use book illustration as our core focus. This is going to be really powerful. We've got my team here today. So I've got Zach and Paul from my team. We've also got Nadine and Celeste in the background supporting today as well. And then we have Josh and Vera, two of our clients, who are going to be sharing some of their perspectives and learnings and all the good things there along the way as well. Fantastic. So what we're going to do to start with, we're going to get some introductions so you know who is here, and then we're going to be diving right into our workshop. So Josh, over to you if you can do your first intro there.
All right, thanks, Logan. Like Logan said, my name is Josh Cleland. I'm a children's book illustrator, and I work out of my home studio in Hillsboro, Oregon, which is, if you're not familiar with Hillsboro, is just outside of Portland, just to the west of Portland, about 20 minutes. But I'm actually calling in from Italy, from Tivoli, Italy. So not in my normal location today. But yeah, so I actually started my business actually way back in 2009. I think January 2009. I started my business in graphic design, just doing all the normal graphic design-y stuff like logos, magazine ads, spreads, and things like billboards and things like that, the odd website here or there. But I always wanted to be an illustrator, whether it's a cartoonist or a children's book illustrator, something I always wanted to do ever since I was a kid. So I kind of just steered towards that as I went throughout my career. And then I slowly transitioned at around 2015, 2016 into full-time children's book illustration, and also doing other things like stuff for like Highlights magazines and greeting cards and games and anything in that kind of the children's adjacent market. And I've kind of been doing that ever since, mostly illustration work. So, but yeah, I've been doing my own business for over 15 years now. But a few years ago, I kind of felt like ever since like COVID, maybe like a couple of years after COVID, I kind of got into like kind of a slump, and I wanted to take my business further, kind of take it to the next level. I wanted to get bigger book deals, branch out to like licensing and actually create courses and things like that. So I started working a couple of years ago. I started working with Logan and the team, just to kind of get the kind of some fundamentals back into my business and to kind of restructure things and learn how to kind of take things into a new direction and kind of supercharge things. And so since then, I've really worked on my mindset. And then I've launched 3 courses since working with Logan, in 3 courses in around children's books and character design. And I've also received several big, substantial book deals that I've always wanted to do. That's always been something I've always wanted to do. Um, so yeah, that's a little bit about me. All right, back to you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Josh. It's so great hearing, more of the story, more of the background, and just excited for you to share some more of those journeys as well. Vera, we'll get you to do an intro as well. Over to you.
Thank you, Logan. Hi, everyone. I am Vera Drmanovski. I am book cover illustrator based in Montreal currently. I have lived in Toronto for 25 years, and then about 3 years ago, I decided to make a move and come to Montreal. Don't ask me why, it's complicated. But it seems like that this move to Montreal has brought me some really good luck as well. So basically, like Josh said, I also worked as a graphic designer for a long time, um, doing mostly events. Like I was doing graphic design for events, and that was really great and rewarding, to see my stuff on like big screens and stuff like that. But something that was always attracting me was the lettering and the illustration, and I really always dreamt of having my own business. So, despite the fact that I really loved my day job, it was really cool, and I got to travel and all that. That thing was really always nagging at me, and I really thought that unless I succeed in building my own business, I'm kind of going to fail myself. And then, as Josh said, COVID, I think, changed all our lives in one way or the other. So when that happened, live events weren't the thing anymore. So everything went online, and my job started to kind of disappear. And I decided to strategically move to becoming a freelancer. But I also knew that it would be hard for me to do it by myself because I've been trying. I've been doing that as a side gig for a few years, like alongside my full-time job. And it was here and there, like occasionally I would get a job. It was like $8,000 a year that I get on freelancing, which really you can't make a living out of it. And then I decided that I needed help, and that's when I have started research for the business coach, and came across Logan through a friend of mine who worked with him. And the reason I picked Logan was, well, for multiple reasons. He's a really cool guy, as you can see. Number one. Number two, what really attracted me is the fact that Logan has been a creative person himself, and he has run his own business for 11 years, creative business, which for me was a note that, okay, he understands, first of all, the nature of creative people, because in a way we are kind of different because we are introverts. Business part is not something that comes easily to us. So at least not to me. Maybe some people are different, but to me, I was shy that way. So I thought, okay, he's gonna get it, and he's gonna help me how to overcome that fear from I don't even know what. I was just afraid to be in charge. And then I realized that also not only that he has been a creative person himself, running a creative business, he also has an entrepreneurship master's he has entrepreneurial masters. Oh my God, that word is really a tongue twister for me. So if you're wondering, English is not my first language. It is Serbian by, native. So basically, that was really important to me when I was picking a coach to help me. So, and then I also heard from multiple sources of creative people that I knew online because I have been online doing the lettering and stuff. So I had some kind of community. And I've heard from some very, very successful creatives that they have worked with Logan as well. So that really gave me a confidence that he's the right person for me and that I have made the right decision to join his program. And he has also worked with hundreds of graphic designers, from illustrators, muralists, book cover, book illustrators, all kinds of like creative people. So that really was something that was important to me, that his niche is in our industry. And speaking from experience, he has taken me, as far as I know, many others, from really making teeny tiny money, during month, like something that's like not that great, to 5K, 10K, 25K and above. And for me, 2025 was the year where all those lessons I've learned in Logan's coaching has paid off. I have had 8 months of five figure months, and I have exceeded my 100K financial goal. So I became a six-figure creative, and that's been something that I never thought would be possible. I know it was possible, but I didn't think it was possible for me, which is something that also comes with confidence, and confidence comes with coaching, and that's something that we also work on together. So basically, that's pretty much about me, my short or long story. And here's Logan for you.
Amazing. Thank you, Vera. And great to really, dig into the past and the experience there as well. I absolutely love that as well. So you've all sort of heard, an overall intro. As I mentioned, those of you that were with us at the start, I'm from New Zealand originally, so that's the accent that I have, but I am based in the US. I'm based in Richmond, Virginia. The people we work with these days at Flammable are very much in multiple stages, actually. We work with people that are early stage, trying to get started, trying to get things moving. Some of them are trying to maybe leave a day job or just trying to actually get things running with their creative business. We also work with people that are further along. Maybe they've been doing this for a while or even just a few years, maybe full-time, maybe part-time, but they need to grow, they want to grow sustainably, they want to do the creative work they're excited about as well. And we also work with people who have been doing this for 1, 2, sometimes even 3 decades, right? So people who have a lot of experience, but still need to make sure they get that business side really sorted as well. There's a little bit more about that there. Most of our clients are based in the US and Canada, for reference there as well. We've also got the team here, some of the team here supporting today as well. So we'll do some quick intros there and then we'll get into it. Paul will get you to do an intro first, followed by Zach. So Paul, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Logan. I'm Paul Corrigan. I'm here. I'm the creative business specialist here at the Flammable team, and I'm newly based in Rhode Island. I don't know if I saw any Rhode Islanders in there, but my background's in content creation for brands as well as being an entrepreneur myself. So I have that business background. I have a seasonal Christmas tree business, among others, and I also help run social media here at Flammable. So it's great to be here.
Amazing. Thank you, Paul. And then Zach, over to you for an intro as well.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'm really excited to see you. My name is Zach. I'm the business growth consultant on the team. I get to work really closely with all of our clients and really help you guys take your business to the next level, which I genuinely love, what I get to do. So I'm excited to hang with you guys all today. Gonna get to dive deeper on this, but excited to be here and hope to see some of y'all soon.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Zach. So good to have you here. If those of you that did just join us, pop in the chat where you're based and what you do creatively. In terms of links, we'll give you an opportunity to share them a bit later on so we can do that all together as well. So in the meantime, just make sure where you are in the world and what you do creatively as well. Pop that in the chat. Congratulations for showing up today. Like, this is extremely important and really powerful. One of the things we're also going to do today is we're going to be giving away a bunch of freebie coaching calls to Paul, Zach, Nadine, as well, Alyssa, our team, to really help people out from the call today to really condense what you learned as well and get a bit of an extra boost of support. So we do have that. We'll be doing that right at the end of the call, so do stick around for that. But as I said, like, showing up is important, right? You're all busy, right? Like, raise your hand if you're really busy right now, right? Like, everyone is busy. We all have busy lives, family, work, there's all sorts of things happening, but showing up for your own ongoing education is so important. So well done for taking the time out, showing up today. We really notice that there's a big difference between successful visual creatives and the ones that aren't successful. Is the successful ones show up and take action, right? They're committed to their own growth and their own learning long-term as well. So today's about action as well. Like, yes, great to learn and hear a few things. That's fantastic. But make sure you're taking notes as we go, right? Go and get pen and paper or open up a document. Make sure you're taking notes and look for things that you can actually take action on. It's a big part of our coaching programs. Yes, the education, the learning, but also the implementation of that as well. Now, so get involved where you can. Use the chat. Right, use the chat today. We love interactivity as part of the workshop as well. We'll go through the chat as we can. The team will support there too. But yeah, take notes as you go and get deep into what we're discussing. This could be one of the most important workshops you take this entire year. We're also going to do a $100 cash giveaway to the most interactive person. This just keeps things a bit interactive and fun. So yeah, we'll go through and find one of the most interactive people and send them $100. We'll do that at the end of the call. So get involved in the chat, pop things in there, engage along the way, video on if you can as well. And then we'll pick towards the end who that is. So bit of fun. It's a good way to just help keep everyone really engaged for the hour as well. Now, today's workshop is all around pricing for book illustrators. We're using book illustration as a lens due to Josh and Vera's experience, but a lot of what we'll all share also has relevance in other creative business as well, particularly illustration, graphic design, murals too, right? So there's a lot of powerful stuff here. And part of it we're going to talk about is the mindset and the psychology around this as well. Ultimately, there's more to running a successful business than just being great creatively. Right? Being great at the creative work, of course, is extremely important. You've got to be good at the craft, good at that creative work for sure. But the other side of the coin, it is the business stuff, right? And it generally doesn't come as naturally to many creative people. Pricing is part of that, right? Pricing is an important part of that business side. Many people get stuck around when it comes to pricing. They get things wrong. They either actually price too low, which is probably the most common, or sometimes too high. That happens as well. But people ultimately need to see the value of what you're offering, right? So what people often do is they're getting stuck into, okay, here's what I can do, but they're not digging into the value enough. So getting that pricing strategy wrong, it can be quite crippling for the business. Mainly because if you get it wrong, you can either end up with no clients or you can end up with a lot of clients and you just work all the time and don't earn that much money. You're suddenly working evenings and weekends and you feel like you're just stuck on this hamster wheel working all the time, when actually we need to make sure there's balance, there's sustainability. You shouldn't have to hustle, grind, and overwork to build success in your creative business. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be going through a whole lot of the really classic stuff that comes up when it comes to pricing and really help to figure out what you can do about that as well. We're also going to have Vera and Josh sharing some of their experiences along the way around some of these different learnings as well, because it's so powerful to actually hear the real side of this as well. So important. So let's do it. So the first thing I want to talk through is really around value, right? How to show clients the value that you bring. A big thing I'll say here is don't try and compete on price, compete on value. So important, right? So if you're tempted to be like, okay, well, I'm just cheaper than someone else, and you're always looking at what is everyone else charging, well, the problem is you're competing on price rather than focusing on the value of what you do. Because the truth is there will always be people out there that are charging significantly less than you, no matter what you charge, right? That'll always be true. There'll be people who charge half the price, a quarter of the price, and you'll be like, okay, I need to drop my prices. The temptation will be there. Instead, what we need to do is we need to focus on value, because there is clients out there who are willing to pay you for that value. So it's really, really important. How do you figure out value? Well, you've got to dig into what the clients actually need. And how do you do that? You ask them. Right? So if someone comes to you and says, hey, I'm interested in working with you, what's your pricing? Well, instead of just leaping into pricing, first ask them questions about their needs. Start to actually understand. Fantastic, happy to put something together for you. Be curious to understand these things. Ask them questions, more about the project, more about what they're looking for, and maybe even ways that you might be able to help them beyond what they're asking for as well. It's a really powerful thing to understand their specific needs. with experience, with time, you'll start to understand and get clear on people's needs straight away. But you've still got to often ask and dig into that, because one person's value is going to be different from another person's value. This is really important to understand. So you've got to dig into that and start to understand, what does this person, this specific client value? Like, do they value fast turnaround? Do they value that you're going to spend extra time on this compared to normal? Do they value good communication? Right? These things are all really, really important for many people, but some people will value them in different ways. So, for example, a great way to build value and show value is through great communication. Great communication during that whole process, right? Right from when they first contact you through to, yes, they've become a client, fantastic, and then through that client process. That there is extremely valuable. People are not just paying for your creative outlet, they're paying for great communication. Communication being so important. So it's something we help our clients with a lot, is having a solid sales process, right? It's not an exciting word, sales, but it's important, right? And having a system around, okay, how to reply, when to reply, what that looks like, what to say at different parts of the process is incredibly important. So it's something you do want to make sure you build in, replying to emails in a timely manner, really building in trust in that process. So trust is something that's related to communication, but there's lots of ways you can build trust. Trust is so important. People will work with you because they know, like, and trust you. So you have to build trust. If people are going to be spending thousands of dollars with you, they need to trust you. Otherwise, they might be like, wow, this person's work is absolutely phenomenal. That's great, but I just don't trust them. They won't work with you. Even if you are the best at what you do, if the trust is not built, they will not spend their money with you because there's too much risk. So trust is important. How do you build trust? Well, yes, you have great communication. You're also really professional. You're kind. You have reasonable turnaround times. You also build in honesty, and you build a relationship with them as well. Another way that you can build trust is through your credibility, right? Social proof. Who else have you worked with? What are the other people or organizations you've worked with? That builds trust as well, because they go, wow, this other person trusts them, so that helps me to trust them as well. So that credibility is also built through that as well. So important. Another piece I'll share here is around professionalism when it comes to your proposals, right? So having a professional proposal and working towards that is so important. So that proposal, yes, it might include things like testimonials, examples of your work and your background. Ultimately, you need to show them why they can trust you, why you have value, why you're fantastic to work with. You need to show them that, so that they're going to go, yes, I would love to work with you, right? So it's really digging deeper beyond just that creative side. Absolutely, it's important. Your work, your creativity, your skills, for sure, it's huge. But there's the other side of the coin, this side here, which is the trust, the professionalism, and really building the value in those other ways and understanding what they actually need as well. Josh, I'd love to hear, some of your perspectives and experiences around, this side here when it comes to, value and communicating that value as well.
Sure. Yeah. A lot of kind of echoing just what you said. But I want to speak with maybe children's books and specifically because I think I think the best way, especially like if you're like just starting out and not knowing where to start, maybe you haven't really done any books in the past, so you don't have anything to show. Just having a really good, really solid portfolio, professional looking portfolio, whether it's on a website or Instagram or TikTok or anything like that, really goes a long way. And also these days in the world of AI, I've noticed, showing that you're a real human, that you're human behind the artwork, that really is extremely valuable in today's age. With publishers, demonstrating that you could tell a good story, and really, kind of Logan, when you're talking about like going back to the question, what do the clients need? Well, in this case, like a client being a publisher, publishers really, in the end of the day, they want to sell books, right? So what can you do to help sell books. You can, you can create an engaging story. You can tell a good story. You can, do all the things that Logan said. Um, you can be really good on the sales end of the book process, especially if you're getting royalties and things like that. Um, also things like personal projects, which really demonstrate competency. I got my first book deals 10 years ago. I mentioned when I first got into children's book illustration. Um, those book deals came about because of some personal projects I did. Um, I illustrated two kind of posters that were really kind of Portland, Oregon centric. They're just kind of like a love poem to Portland, and just posted them online. Just a personal project, and got my first two. They were like regional books, and one of them I'm still earning royalties on today. It's called Portland Baby. It's a little board book, and so things like that go a long way. Networking, portfolio reviews, doing SCBWI events, children's book writers and illustrator conferences and things like that. So, and also just like I mentioned before in my intro, and I think Vera mentioned this as well, Logan, you might have mentioned this as well, just you're building your mindset as well, just learning that you are valuable, just telling yourself that you are valuable. Because especially at the beginning, it's so easy to shortchange yourself saying, I'm not worth much. Why would somebody pay that? And so you've got to really sell yourself on your value as well. So, and I'll also end with a really quick story that's actually predates my uh, children's books days. It's kind of my early days and when I was more just doing graphic design, but I think this was an illustration job. I think having contracts in place as well is really communicates your value as well. So like I was working with a new client in the negotiation phase, and I sent over my contract after we'd done the negotiating and done all the terms. I sent over the contract, and the guy called me. He's like, "Why? What's this contract? I've never had anybody send over a contract. This is weird." And I was like, I'm a professional, dude. you know. So I think that really helps set the stage in that relationship. That I'm a professional. I'm not just some fly by night. This was probably 15 years ago when I worked with these people. So so things like that. So
Love it. So powerful. And love what Josh shared here around mindset, right? Like so much of this is a mindset challenge. And that's something that you will work on. I mean, it's something we have to work on a lot with our clients because, yes, it's the tools, it's the strategies, it's the learnings, it's the tactics. So much of that, the foundation is mindset. Things like confidence, things like belief as well, believing in yourself, right? And that's not something that comes naturally for many people, but it's something that you can absolutely work on as well. I love it. I was just reading through the chat here and some great stuff happening in the chat there, great conversations as well. So absolutely love that. What we are going to do, we're going to get Josh and Vera to share their Instagram in the chat. This is a great opportunity to connect with them. We're also going to share our Flammable Entrepreneur Instagram as well. So Celeste from my team is going to pop that in there. So make sure you click those links. We would love to get connected with you. I know we're already connected with you, with a bunch of you through Flammable as well, but love to make sure we're connected. So click those, click follow. We'd love to get connected. And then we would love everyone else here who's on the call, pop in your Instagram in the chat as well. Don't do the @ tag, actually do the link, right? So go grab link. People are already doing it there. Pop that in, go open up a website, grab the URL and drop that in. It just means it's a clickable link so other people can connect with you as well. So it's an opportunity to build some community, build connection, get connected with a few other people, open up some other people's Instagrams as well and see what they're up to. There's a lot in the chat there, so you probably won't be able to get through them all, but this is just a nice way to get connected. Building community in a creative business is absolutely essential. Right, absolutely essential to be inspired, to really understand that creative community is an incredibly powerful thing. You have to surround yourself with the right people as you grow on the journey. It's a huge way we also support our clients as we bring them together and get them talking to each other. So powerful. Amazing, everyone. I love it. So many links in the chat there, so keep piling them into the chat. We're going to keep moving through because we've got lots more to cover. I want to talk about picking the right price, right? So figuring out what to actually charge. First of all, this is complex. There's not always just a straightforward equation that you can run. Yes, there's a few different equations and things you can look at, but the most important piece here is to actually start understanding that you want to charge what people are willing to pay, right? So you want to charge based on what the market will pay, not based on your time. This is probably one of the most important lessons of this entire workshop, is charge based on what people will pay rather than get stuck based on your time. Now, I'm not saying time is irrelevant. It's important. Absolutely, right? We don't want you to spend huge amount of hours and then not get paid for it. But if you can spend a smaller amount of time and charge really high rates, good on you. That's fantastic, right? You have trained or you have worked on your skills. You've developed these skills that allow you to charge these higher rates. Fantastic. I love that. But it's a big, important lesson. Charge based on what the market will pay, what people will pay, not based on your time. And this is a lesson that I think goes around in circles for many people for many years, is to understand that we need to dig deeper than just going, okay, what am I putting in? What energy value am I putting in? Like, yeah, time, of course. As I said, it's important, but ultimately, what is someone willing to pay? And finding the people that are willing to pay those rates as well is an incredibly important part of that. Most creatives undercharge, right? On average, most people, those of you that are already in business here, probably undercharge, right? That's just a truth that we see again and again. It's something that myself, Paul, Zach, the team see, we notice a lot. And it's not always as straightforward as just increasing your rates. Yes, it can be more complex than that. We need to build in the trust and the value and the communication side of that as well. Work on those professional proposals, help them to really understand the value and find the right types of clients as well, right? So that is certainly part of that, but it's something that we often see, particularly when people are earlier stage. We see that they tend to undercharge. That's a pretty common thing. And often it's going, oh, well, I'm new in business. I don't really know what I'm doing, so I'm charging these lower rates, even though their creative work is actually really phenomenal and they can probably charge a lot more, a lot quicker as well. So often you can actually charge more, even if you're earlier stage, than you probably think as well. In terms of resources, those of you that know of the Graphic Artist Guild, there's a book, the Graphics Artist Guild book, that is a phenomenal resource. It's something that we recommend to our clients as well. It's a great resource. It's just a resource. It's not the be all and end all. It's not the, okay, this is exactly how to price things, which I know is often what we're looking for as the answer, but it's more complex than that. But it gives you a starting point to really look at and think about as well. A key thing I'll say here is to really start to focus on what we call project-based pricing, right? Where possible, you want to price based on a project, right? You're doing a book cover or you're doing a bunch of book illustrations, great. Rather than going, okay, you're paying for my time, you're paying an hourly rate, try and keep to project-based pricing. Really, really important. Still look at your time, right? You don't need to share that with the client, but like do some estimates and go, okay, cool. Like here's the time that'll be involved in this, and looking at those equations, it's still important, right? Don't just say, well, time doesn't matter. No, it's still important. We want to make sure you're getting properly paid as well. But what I'm saying is that you'll want to share your pricing based on a project. Okay, like what is it going to cost to do a book cover, right? For you to illustrate a book cover, what does that cost look like? Rather than, okay, well, it's going to be 20 hours, 40 hours, 10 hours, right? Maybe more, maybe less, right? That's not what you want to share and then give a per hourly rate. And it's honestly not really great for the client either, because they're like, well, how many hours is it going to take? And you're going to be like, well, I don't know. You're just going to pay for the hours. And they're going to be going, I don't want to work with you because I don't know, right? Instead, having that key rate there. So that's incredibly important. The other thing I will say here is that there is going to be some guesswork. And this is where experience over time becomes part of that journey as well. As you learn, as you do more projects, you'll get to increase your pricing. You'll get to learn what people actually need and want, and you get to understand what people are willing to pay. And a reference point is, if someone says yes to working with you at this rate, it means that they possibly would have paid even more. Right, so let that thought sink in. Those of you that are already working with people, any client that's ever said yes and has worked with you, they may have paid more. They may have paid significantly more to work with you as well. You've really just said, oh, okay, that's the minimum that I could have charged them, right? Because they said yes to it. How do you ultimately know if someone's going to work with you and say yes to working with you? The only way to know is they say yes and they pay you the funds. right? There is no perfect way, and you're always going to see some friction and some no's in this as well. Vera, I would love to hear some of your thoughts, experiences around, this side as well, because it's a pretty deep, fascinating side there too.
It is, and pricing correctly has been, of course, like for many others, a struggle for me as well in the beginning. But there are a few things that I would like to recommend. Number one, it's really important to have a community. I always go back to that because that's your resource. Connecting with people who are in the same/similar industry where you can consult them and see, if they have experience with certain projects, certain types of projects. That will be your sort of base how to start thinking and what is the number from which you can start thinking. I'm not saying take it at a face value. If somebody said I took 2,500 for that book cover, I'm not saying, okay, you can just go back and say 2,500, that's it. No, but that is your starting point because that's the biggest problem. Like, where do I start? Like, what is the, let's say, average, right? So for me, that was that really helped, having that online community where I could go to people and ask in the beginning. I have gotten various numbers which told me that there is no set rule in the industry, what is exactly the right price. So my next step was really, as Logan said, basing by project, meaning also basing by who the client is and how big they are. So I'm not gonna price the same for example, a book box company that's based in, I don't know, a smaller country or a country that I know has lower budgets overall because their standard is lower than North America. And I'm also not going to price that client the same if I know that they're just going to do a one print run of a special edition. And a big publisher who is going to have multiple years of publishing the same book and making money off of it. So you have to think about, okay, the size of the client, how big is your client, where that client is located. So location of your client does impact the pricing, but again, not by much because you should take it into consideration, but you also need to take into consideration your value that you're bringing. And if they're willing to pay for it, good for them. If not, they may not be the right choice for you. So there's such thing as they simply may not be the right client for you. So that is another thing. So apart from doing the research, figuring out who your client is and what would be appropriate for that particular project. Another thing that I wanted to mention is before you go into talk about pricing, find out as much as you can about the project itself and what they're actually looking to have as a final cover or a final product. That will also impact you. You will understand the scope of the project, which is going to impact the price. And I always sneak in the little, like, last question for me is always, and if you are working on a budget, how much are you looking to invest? I need to know what they're thinking. I'm not saying I'm going to 100% respect that because sometimes it might be too low, which is, again, an indicator for me whether or not this project is a right fit for me. But I need to know. I need to know their expectations. As Logan said, I need to know what they're willing to pay for. And if it's significantly lower than what I think they should pay for, I try to explain why my rates are higher and what they can get for the budget that they have allocated. So they understand the difference between what's realistically to get for that budget and what they can get if they allocate a little bit more money. And in a lot of times, it happened that they have agreed to pay me what I actually asked for, even though originally they thought that is going to cost less. Sometimes they don't. They just simply don't have the money. And that's okay. We're not the right fit. I'm sorry, but I had it's okay to say no to projects that are not the good fit because that opens up your time for the right projects. And that's when you are not going to end up being bogged down by all these like tiny little projects making like taking tons of your time. At least if you're like me, I'm going to do, no matter how much the project costs, I'm going to do the same amount of work, and the value that I provide is going to be the same. So I have to make sure that I don't overwork myself and that I don't underprice, so that, I'm just at the end going to be burned out. Because burnout is another thing that can happen if you're not, pricing properly, working too much, and just to make the living. And that's not what you want. So I guess to summarize, do your research, just ask your clients in advance, and then take into consideration who they are and how big they are and how big is the publication going to be.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Vera. And once again, so powerful to hear from Vera and Josh as well around their experiences within this stuff, right? And understanding that they're deep in these industries doing this and experiencing these things that we're talking about here today as well. We're going to dig a bit more into time and basically the impact of pricing on your time. A really important thing, Vera's already brought this up, is around balance within your business, of what you need to do to run a successful business without burning yourself out. So if you do undercharge, you just end up working more, right? It's a really interesting equation. Just like I said, you get stuck on that hamster wheel. You may have lots of clients, but you're working all the time and there's a risk of burnout. So to run a business, it means you're going to be doing more than just the project or the client work itself. And we've got to understand, you've got to do that stuff. It's the admin, it's the marketing, it's the sales. Also, you need to cover downtime. You need to cover your holidays, right? So even if maybe the money seems good and you're charging per hour, well, is it covering all those other pieces as well, right? Because you're only charging for per hour work for the time that you're actually working for them, but you've got to cover all of that other stuff you need to do in the business as well. And suddenly you may find, well, you can't actually afford to take time off. You can't afford to take a holiday. You can't afford to take a break because you just have to work all the time to pay the bills, right? And you get stuck in that loop as well. So what we've got to do is make sure that you're also charging to build a successful business, right? So you're not just rushing through a project and doing a bad job, right? Like that's something that can also happen if you're like, well, I'm charging this here and I just need to get it done. You're not going to end up doing great work because you're going to rush. You won't have that much time and your creative energy won't be going into it in a great way. And therefore you just won't have a happy client at the end. Instead, if you're charging those good rates, charging those higher rates, you won't be rushing the project. You won't be doing a bad job and you'll be putting that creative energy into the project. And ultimately you have a happier client. Happier client means they're more likely to come work with you again. You're going to have great referrals as well. And in terms of pricing, you're going to actually be charging what you want. Another important thing here is to really acknowledge that there is going to be ups and downs in the business, right? So you need to make sure you're also covering yourself for those quieter times. Like it's phenomenal to have a great project and charge $5,000 or $10,000. And that's amazing. We love that. But then if you have nothing for 3 months, well, the average is actually quite low and probably not sustainable to cover your bills. So really making sure you're understanding that you are going to need to buffer for those slower times as well. We've spoken to many people that just work all the time, right? They are burned out, they're overwhelmed, they just work. And they're often actually not earning that much when we look at the numbers. Right, we once had someone who did end up working with us right at the start of working with us. They basically were like, I would love to earn more, but I work 60 hours a week right now. I work on weekends, I work late at night, and I'm earning 3 to 4K per month. Right. And she was exhausted, burnt out. And she was like, I can't just double. I would love to double my income, but how would I double my time? Right. Whereas the reality was when we worked with her, we actually ended up bringing down the overall time she was putting into the business and got her earning 10K plus. One of the big reasons, yes, there was mindset, there was marketing, there was sales work we had to do. One of the big things was pricing. We changed the pricing structure. We looked at what she was already doing and charging, and ultimately the rates were far too low. How could she then communicate that value? What needed to go into that communication with the clients? How do we build more trust? Really, really important. So a big part of that is often pricing strategy. It's not the only piece, right? We've got to get in front of the right clients. We've got to market. We've got to do the sales stuff, but pricing strategy is absolutely important. Josh, I would love to hear some of your perspectives, experiences around this one here as well in terms of time and energy and those pieces there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's kind of mostly I just want to just echo what you and Vera were saying. Just yeah, I think in my introduction I mentioned um, when I started working with you guys a couple years ago, or maybe a little bit before that, I was just feeling very like um, I was on that like burnout, like you know, hamster wheel, whatever you want to call it, where it's just like the more I worked, yeah, I would kind of make enough, but then I could kind of see you can kind of see how it like can progress. Wait a minute, if I want to make this much, then I got to make work this, and then why? Maybe I just don't sleep this week, you know. Um, so I really found myself on that, and so one of the things that I really did was really I try to identify you know, what are the things that are going to bring me bigger projects that allow me to do the work that I wanted to do. Um, so yeah, so doing getting those big projects really allowed me to, or setting the right price and knowing how much I wanted to make per book, really allowed me just the flexibility and the freedom to do what I wanted to do. Because really, at the end of the day, we kind of go into this business do it we love to draw, we love to create things, we love to design, so we think, oh, just do this for a living, but then we find ourselves in that rut, and then it actually can kind of make it kind of backfire on us. So finding the right price really helps with that. um really helps protect from that burnout. It's also kind of interesting, like, if you found yourself, if you were to double your rates, I asked myself this question: if I were to double my rates and then lose half my clients, I'm exactly where I am now, but I would have more freedom to actually really do the work that I really love to do for those clients, for those publishers, and things like that. Um, so I think that's always the fear, right? When you raise your rates, you're going to lose clients, but that's kind of the goal, really, the way I looked at it. Um, so, and there's also a thing. One last thing I want to mention is there's this phenomena that I found that when you're not working, that's also valuable creative time for your projects. Not that we're always like on work mode, but when you're taking a walk, when you're on a bike ride, when you're, in the shower, when you're like doing, when you're on vacation, doing fun things, um, those projects that you got on your plate come creeping in, and sometimes you get these amazing ideas. I don't know how many amazing ideas I've come up with when I'm out on a run or a walk, and you got those endorphins flowing, and you come up with the perfect idea for that project or for that spread that I've been working on. Well, the more projects I stack on my plate, the more that gets garbled, and I can't really utilize that off time, or that kind of those serendipitous like aha moments, because it's all just one big mush in the brain. So that's another thing I like to pay attention to.
Amazing. Thank you, Josh. So, so powerful. And I think, the key here is that this stuff is complex, right? Like I just looking through the chat there, and someone said, hey, can we see actual numbers? And well, the actual numbers, we so dependent on person to person, right? So for example, we often see that to have a sustainable business in the US, you need to be earning 10K per month plus, right? If you're full-time focused, that's probably the number. Now, for some people might be like, you know what, I want to earn 5K plus per month. Okay, great, right? And that might be sustainable in what they want to earn, and maybe it's not full-time, right? Maybe they've got other commitments, caring for family, right? Or maybe they do have a part-time job they enjoy, right? Fantastic. But for most people, you need to get above that. Basically, you need to be earning $100,000 per year or more. And the beautiful thing is there's plenty of opportunities to do that. There's plenty of people that are doing that, right? And for some people, it's 15K per month or more, right? These are the sorts of numbers we're talking about. Obviously, per projects, do check out that Graphic Artist Guild resource, right? Ethical Guidelines. It's an amazing book. And this starts to give you some of those indicators of per projects and what you can charge and those things there. But remember, that's just a resource. It doesn't give you all of the answers. Part of it is putting the stake in the ground and figuring things out as you go, but also working on that mindset stuff we've talked about, working on the confidence. Because if you don't believe in what you do and don't believe in your ability to charge these rates, why would the client? Right? Why would the client? So mindset is an incredibly important part of the journey here as well. Most people have pretty weird money beliefs, right? Weird beliefs around how money works that most people, including most people in the world and many people here, actually is just an exchange of value, right? So understanding that raising your rates, charging what you want to charge, it's such an important part of that journey as well. We obviously have covered a ton of stuff today. I know we've dug pretty deep. Time also flies as well. Now, obviously, we've covered a lot, but this is really just the tip of the iceberg. Right, there's other pieces as well. Obviously, getting these numbers right, getting the pricing right, but also digging into finding those ideal clients. Because you might be like, well, great, but everyone's saying no right now, and I want to increase my rates. I think I'm just going to get even more no's. Well, it's probably therefore a client issue in terms of the target market, the ideal client, the people you're talking to. So that's a huge piece of it as well. You'll need to dig into the marketing, you need to dig into the sales and those other business elements as well. So obviously, we've touched the tip of the iceberg today in terms of what's required to build a successful, sustainable long-term business. As part of today, we are giving away a whole bunch of free calls with our team, our coaches, to help you to digest what you've learned today, but also to dig a bit deeper into those dreams, those challenges as well. So in a moment, I'm going to drop that link in. We're going to have calls available with my coaching team. There'll be one-on-one calls that you'll just be able to book. They're totally free. So just before I share that link in the chat, I do have some caveats because these are free calls, so we want to make sure we really value them as well. So the first caveat is that if you book the call, we want you to be someone that is wanting to grow your business in 2026. If you're just like, oh, one day I might start or grow or do something different around my current existing business, this is not for you. This is for people that are like, you know what? I need to figure this out. I need to get sustainable. I need some extra help with this. Great. This call is for you. The second thing is that we want you to be willing and open to share. Right? Share where you're at, share your challenges, share your dreams, right? Really open up to Paul, Zach, Nadine, Alyssa, right? Those are the people you'll have the calls with. Ultimately, we want you to get a little bit vulnerable with them, right? Be open to also hearing their ideas, their observations from their vast experience. Basically, we're saying we want you to be coachable, right? We want you to be open to ideas. Having a bit of a growth mindset is really important for these free calls as well. And then the other thing here is if you book it today, please make sure you turn up, right? If you don't show up, you're taking a spot from someone else here because we've only got limited spots, but we want to make sure we're really valuing the team's time. So show up, be ready, have pen and paper ready, allow time before and after. We'll be sending you through a form to fill in beforehand just to make sure we get some key details. Make sure you fill that in, make sure you're prepared. Make sure you're at a desk and a table rather than in the car waving your phone around, making the team feel motion sickness. It does happen. Let's try and avoid that. Let's make sure you're really ready for that call. And we'll have some communication with you as well before just to set things up. So just making sure you're applying to that as well. I love it. I love the chat, all the good stuff happening in there as well. If you agree with my terms, can you just pop in the chat yes or agreed or sounds good to those terms, and then I'll pop that link in the chat just to make sure we're all on the same page. Emojis, if you want to put emoji, there's a thumbs up in there. Sounds good, agreed, all those good things there. So what I'm going to do is just pop this link in the chat. I will do it a couple of times because we have a very fast moving chat now full of emojis. Thank you, everyone. I love that. We've got limited spots. Book it in now. There goes the link. As I said, I will pop it in a couple of times as well, just because it will move through there in that too. We've got time for, I think, probably 1 or 2 questions we'll be able to fit in here as well. We've still got a few minutes left as well, but make sure, I would love absolutely everyone here who would love to get that free call booked in to book it in and to grab it now. We probably will run out of spots because, as you can see, we have a pretty full group today as well, but make sure you get that all booked in. If it doesn't work the first time, you just may need to reload on that and have another go. So I'll drop that link in again in the chat as well. Grab that link now just so you can make sure you get that booked in. We do want to cover a couple of questions here. So what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to get Paul, I'm going to get you to answer this first one here for that. And then depending on time, we'll see how we go. So Paul, when the question we got sent in was, when do you know it's time to raise or change your prices? When do you know it's time?
Yeah, good question. Pricing's so tough, as everyone talked about today and knows. But yeah, we always say you should constantly be increasing your prices to keep up with like inflation, cost of living, and everything, and factoring in that stuff. Like you want to be able to take vacations with your family, and like having this as part of your price has to be included when it's your own business, right? It can be a good metric to at least do it once a year, and revisit those. If you have ongoing clients, a question that often comes up beyond that is like, how do I fairly move this price up while honoring their, commitment to me over the years? And you can do some preferential like pricing for them. You can offer a little discount and say, I really appreciate your support of this. I need to increase my prices because of this, that, and whatever. But they'll really appreciate that. And it's always a risk. But as Josh talked about too, you do have to risk losing some clients to get your business to where you want to be, typically. So essentially, it comes down to having enough clients that you can choose which ones to work with and have that kind of going. So the marketing and outreach is a really important piece of this. We didn't really talk about today, so we need to get more into that on those calls if you guys want to book them. And last thing I'll say real quick is that there's a 20-80 rule that we have around this. If 20% of the people you're sending proposals to should say no, because that's showing that your pricing is right at the level it should be, on the cusp of what the market will allow. If you're getting all yeses, you're charging too little.
Cool. So powerful. Absolutely love that, Paul. It's so, so good. And yeah, such a powerful little gem there at the end there of that 20%, right? You want to see some friction at least, right? Really, really important. Zach, we'll get this next question for you. I think this is a good one. It's around like listing your prices. And the specific question was, should I list my pricing on my website?
Wow, that's a fantastic question. What we say is we don't recommend listing your price on your website, because when you do that, you're basically just competing on price. And that really just kind of drives the race down to the bottom. Instead, we kind of recommend like start a conversation, build a relationship, really understand what they need, and then you can put together like a custom proposal. Most projects aren't cookie cutters anyway, so it makes more sense to kind of take that approach. Plus, some people might see the number and just think to themselves, oh, it's too rich for me. But after like a quick chat and like really understand the value, really changes the story and like helps you actually get in with a better conversation. And if you are getting a lot of time wasters, you can always list like a minimum maybe to help filter people out. But generally, we think you need to lead with value, not price, which is going to get you the most benefit and, get the price that you deserve.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Zach. I love being able to dig into this stuff because there is a lot of like little tactics and strategies along the way as well that you can implement, right? And then when you bring that with your mindset growth and your belief and really working on that confidence, it allows you to build that sustainable business. Because it's great to have wins and it's great to be earning revenue in a creative business with your skills. That's amazing, but it needs to be sustainable long term. Right? That's a big message we've talked about today around pricing, is making it work for you so that you can do the work that you want to do and get paid properly for it as well. So important. Yes, there is a recording of this. We'll send it out to everyone afterwards as well if you weren't here for the full time as well. I've just seen there's been a whole lot of call bookings come through, which is awesome. We do still have a few spots. We even have some for tomorrow and next week as well. So do make sure, if you haven't booked one in yet, I would love to see you getting that booked in to get a bit more clarity, a bit more support. I'll pop that link in the chat another time there as well, just so that you can grab that if you haven't yet there as well. Today has been awesome. Now, I'm sure no one has forgotten we're going to do that $100 giveaway soon. So we will get that all sorted in a moment and let everyone know. Now, from here, what I want to do just before we do that giveaway is I want everyone to share in the chat what is a takeaway, right? What have you learned today? What's something that's been helpful, interesting, powerful, right? Like what have you heard? Like what really stood out for you? So if everyone can post something in the chat, and we'll just start to see and really condense these learnings for other people as well. This is really, really important, because ultimately what we want to do is really make sure that you're learning and you're growing, but also hear what other people have said as well, right? So you'll start to notice and go, oh, actually, this is really interesting because this thing here is the thing that's getting in my way, right? So just having a look through here in the chat, believe in what you do, right? Absolutely. Believe in what you do. This is so, so powerful. Other things in the chat here, abundance mindset. Abundance mindset. Oh, such a powerful one, right? Abundance mindset. value, communication, and community. Charge based on what the market, charge based on market, not time taken. Oh, that was a really important one, right? That was one of those big takeaways, is to make sure you're actually charging based on value, and charge based on what people are willing to actually pay. Other takeaways here: contracts are your friends. Stay professional and keep up communication, and treat yourself like the boss that you are, right? This is so, so good. I love that. Not being afraid of value over pricing. Nice. This is so, so good. Amazing. Absolutely love this, everyone. I'm going to do the giveaway, the $100 giveaway. It's to Lindsay Bryan. I'm going to pop your name in the chat here as well. Lindsay, if you can send through an email or an Instagram to us, you can go to our website, flammablentrepreneur.com, or our Instagram as well. I will drop our Instagram in here again. Send us a DM and we'll make sure that $100 gets sent across to you. There it goes again. For that, this has been awesome. I know we've covered so much today. We'll make sure we send that recording out as well. I know many of you have booked calls. That's fantastic. I love that. Still a few spots there if you haven't quite grabbed one yet. Main thing with those calls, if you've booked them, please do make sure that you fill in the pre-call form. It is in the booking link, but we also will follow you up with that. It basically allows my team to prepare for the call, so they know more about where you're at, and they can help you even more and use that time really valuably as well. So definitely make sure that you're really leaning into getting that form filled out. It just takes a few minutes, and getting prepared for that call. Obviously, it'll be happening in the next couple of days, some of them next week or even the week after as well. So today's been awesome. We've dug into a lot of stuff. Vera, Josh, appreciate you so much sharing your talent, your expertise, your thoughts, your ideas, your challenges, your learnings, and all those good things here. Absolutely love having you here. Thank you to everyone in the chat sharing some kind things there. We will stick around. I'll stick around for a couple more minutes afterwards in the chat as well, and we'll go from there. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch up soon. Take care, everyone. Ciao.